Good morning people, how are you today? Right, before I start, I said at the end of yesterday's video, can you tell the difference between this video and my other videos? And only about 4 people got it right. A lot of people thought I'd tried to change my editing style because the editing was bad yesterday. No, that's not the case. The problem there is I use Final Cut Pro as my editing software, and I had to update it. An update kept coming up, flashing up, so I updated it, and it's completely different and I can't get used to it. So it's going to take me a while to get used to it and get back to, you know, making them as fluent as they were. Some other people thought it was the sound. No wind noise. No, that wasn't it. It just wasn't a windy day. There's a bit of a breeze at the moment, so you might be getting wind today. No, the difference was this. So this is me with my phone, which is what I've been filming on. I'm jumping up and down on the spot, holding the camera as steady as I can. And this is me doing exactly the same thing, but with my gimbal. I've got a gimbal. Can't you tell the difference? It's smooth, it doesn't jump. I was amazed only 4 people noticed. So although I've not fixed the sound problem using my phone, I think you're going to get much smoother videos. Look, it's not jumping up and down as I'm walking, it's just smooth. Come on guys, you should have noticed that. Anyway, let's move on. I've brought you today to the site of the Battle of Harlaw. I don't know how you pronounce it. Harlaw, Harlaw, H-A-R-L-A-W, Harlaw, which happened on June the 24th, 1411. So the battle was for the earldom of Ross, which was a big part of the north of Scotland, and it was between 2 guys who were claiming that they should have the earldom of Ross. The first one was Robert Stewart. Now, we've mentioned this guy before. Can you remember the Wolf of Badenoch? I think I've said that right, Badenoch. The Wolf of Badenoch, the really bad guy. Well, his brother who became king, Robert, he was the Earl of Ross because he was doing it on behalf of his niece, Euphemia. Euphemia was the daughter of the Wolf of Badenoch. Okay, so when he died, her uncle, who was the king at the time, Robert Stewart, he wanted to look after it for her. He was like her guardian. And the other dude who wanted to be the Earl of Ross was a guy called Donald, who was married to Euphemia, that girl. He was married to her auntie, and because she was the oldest surviving female relative, he thought she should have it. So he was fighting, thinking, you know, it's ours, we want it, I want the north of Scotland. So Donald came here with 10,000 men, looking for a fight. He was on his way to Aberdeen, and he got to this very spot. This is where it all kicked off. He got to this very spot, and he was met by 2,000 of Robert's men, who were all in armour. You know, they were all done up. Whereas Donald's men were a bit rough around the edges, typical Scottish clansmen, you know, with the swords and things. But Robert's men had armour. So they met them here, 10,000 men. You can imagine he's feeling pretty good about himself. He's got 10,000 men and he's looking at 2,000 men. So he goes up to Robert's men. He says, come on then. And Robert's men turned round and said to him, come on then. So this went on for a while. It were like, come on then, come on then. No one wanted to throw the first punch. Eventually they did. They had a big fight. It went on all day. And at the end of the day, Donald had lost 900 men, which isn't a lot considering he had 10,000 men. And the other dude, he lost 600 men out of 2,000. A lot more. Anyway, they got really tired at night and they all said, look, let's just... Well, this was the people who already had it, not Donald's men, not the 10,000, the other guys. They says, look, we're knackered, we're off to sleep. You do whatever you want to do, we'll fight you in the morning, yeah? So these, well, there were only 1,400 of them left. They all had a nap, fell asleep, woke up in the morning and Donald had done a runner with his men. They'd all run off. So nobody really won the battle because there were still a lot of men standing on both sides. But you could argue that Donald lost because he didn't get to Aberdeen and he didn't get the Isle of Ross, the Earl of Ross title. Anyway, that was in 1411. In 1424, can you remember Donald's wife, the auntie? Well, she got awarded the earldom anyway. She got given it by James I, I think it was. So she got it, and then it passed down to Donald's son. Donald's son got it in 1429. So he did get his way in the end, but he had to wait, what, 17, 18 years? So yeah, it was called the Red Harlow. It was one of the bloodiest battles in Scottish history. And this monument here was erected in 1911, exactly 500 years after the battle took place, which was in this surrounding area. Now they have found, I think it's about 13 skeletons in the area, but no proof whatsoever that the battle took place here. No musket balls, no armour, no swords, nothing. So, did it take place here? Did it even take place? Is it just a fairy tale? We'll never know. That is the Battle of Harlow. So here we are at Kinkell Church. Very hard place to find. It's not on Google Earth, Google Maps, nothing like that. Well, it is, but it isn't named. Very hard to find. Anyway, first thing I want to show you in here is the sacrament house in the form of a Greek cross. There it is, 4 equal sides cross with a little thing inside. Now, when I read about it, sacrament house, I thought it was going to be a house inside the church, like a cupboard or something. That's it. But what I really like about this is it has scroll work on the arms, and it actually says something on there. It says, "Here is reserved the body born of a virgin." There's nobody there. Nobody there. That just goes to show you how loose people are nowadays. Nobody of any virgin anywhere anymore. And you might think this is really, really nice. It's certainly very detailed. AG, by the way, that's the guy who was called Galloway. He was like the Reverend here or something at the time. He used to like putting his initials on everything because he loved himself. But I don't like that because it's a replica. Apparently the original's gone missing. No one knows where it is, so they've made another one. I wouldn't have bothered. And on one side of the church they've put all these stones, carved stones, which are obviously off the roof and things, which they've found in the fields around here. Okay, but what I've noticed, what most people notice when they come here, there's no windows. There's no windows or doors. It's just walls all the way around, apart from the entrance. How strange is that for a church? You usually see tons and tons of windows, don't you? Maybe there were some at this side once upon a time, but that side, none. But the main reason for me bringing you here is to see this stone here. This is the main reason for coming, because this is a gravestone from someone who died at the Battle of Harlow. Harlow, I don't know how you say it. 1411. Actually, one of the knights who died there, and you can see the beautiful detail of a knight on one side of it. It looks incredible. Now, what you will notice at the bottom, look at his legs. His legs have been cut off, and that's because this used to stand a lot taller than this. But someone from one family, the Forbes family, in 1592 decided they wanted to use some of his gravestone for one of their graves. So they cut his legs off. To think this guy will have been dressed like that at the battle I was talking about, it's unbelievable. From 1411. 600-year-old stone. If I did forget to tell you who he was, he's called Gilbert de Greenlaw. Right, this guy from the Forbes family in 1592, what actually happened is he wanted to use the same stone And I've just realised now, his is the back. It's got the date there, 1592. So what they've done is used the back of it, but because of his design, it didn't need to be so tall, so they just cut the bottom of it. They cut the legs off the other guy. So it's actually marking 2 people who were buried there. I wouldn't be too happy if I were him, and I certainly wouldn't risk cutting off the legs of a gravestone of a knight, a warrior, a killer. So I've brought you to a Pictish stone. This one's called Maiden Stone, and I'm reading about it, and I don't believe it. It says one of the most magnificent Pictish stones ever carved. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a stone with carvings on. Some of them are pretty good, but certainly not one of the best. I've seen a lot. I've seen some good ones, and that's not in my top 5. It's alright though. So it dates from the 800s, and they can tell that, or I can tell that anyway, because on one side it's very Pictish symbols, on the other side it's got very Christian symbols. Not that you can see them very well on this side. It's a bit worn, it's a bit rubbish. So what's on the stone? Well, on this side, they reckon that's a beast. Could be a beast, I'll go along with that, I'll give them that. Down here, they reckon this is some kind of idolised dolphin. Now, I'm not seeing that. That just looks like an elephant who's really sick and deformed. I'm not seeing a dolphin. Yeah, it's got like a finish-ish tail. But come on, that's not dolphin-y. And at the bottom, this is quite sexy. You've got, this is the best part of it really, a tennis racket. Sorry, a mirror and a comb. But look at the detail on them. That really does look like a very well detailed mirror and comb. And on this side, as I say, you can see Jack. At the top you've got some kind of figure. They're saying it could be Jonah. And there's a cross. I can sort of see a cross from a distance. But yeah, this geezer, they think it might be Jonah, stood in between 2 fish to make it look cool. So here they've actually made up what it probably did look like once upon a time. They've filled it in, they've coloured it in. Very nice. But it's confusing me again because now on here it's saying this might be Jesus and it might be standing between 2 sea monsters. So is this guy I just mentioned Jesus? Is it the same person under 2 different names? And is it sea monsters, is it whales, or is it fish? I wish they'd make their minds up. So why is it called the Maiden Stone? There's 2 stories. 2 stories. The first one is like a romantic one, and that's that it's something to do with some Pictish lovely woman, queenie type girl, because you've got a mirror and a comb. They're being a bit sexist really. It could be for a man, just because it's a mirror. You know, I use a mirror. I don't use a comb, but a lot of men do. That could be for a man. But yeah, they're saying hopefully it could be for a Pictish woman. But I prefer the other story. So there's this woman and she's going home one night and she gets to this very spot, believe it or not. This very spot, and a guy comes up to her. Pretty old guy. Horns and a tail. And he says, tell you what, I bet you can't bake a bannock. That's like a loaf of bread, some bread. I bet you can't bake a bannock as quick as I can build a road from here to Benatchi, which is quite a long way away. I bet I can build that road quicker than you can build that bread, make that bread. She says, you're having a laugh. She says, have you any idea how far it is to that Benatchi? He says, yeah, I know, but I'll still beat you. He says, I'll tell you what, if I win, you've got to marry me. Now, she knows she can't lose. There's no way he can build that road quicker than she can make the bread. So she agrees to this. Now, what I can't understand is, why didn't she ask for something if she won? She didn't ask for anything. So the only winner in this is the guy with the horns and the red tail. Anyway, they do it. This guy with the tail and the horns is doing really well. He orders some contractors in, gets some tarmac, gets on with the road. He gets it done in 20 minutes. She's still mixing her stuff up and she hasn't even got the oven on yet. So he comes back, says, hey, I've finished my road, you've got to marry me now. She says, yeah, but I didn't think you were going to win. He says, yes, but you obviously don't realise I'm the devil. Now, I can't understand this. I'm going all around Scotland and the devil's turning up everywhere, chasing women, asking them to marry him for silly bets. How many wives did he have? Did he actually marry any of them? Anyway, she didn't want to marry him. She was going to go back on a bet. You know, if you have a bet with someone, you should always pay out. She wasn't willing to do that. She wanted rid of this devil. Now she knew it was the devil, with the horns and the red tail. She started doing a runner, but he caught up with her. And what he did, can you see the notch up there in the stone? That's where he grabbed her. He grabbed the lass and he says, look, if you're not going to marry me, I'm going to turn you to stone. And that's exactly what he did. And there she is. Yep, that's the maiden. That's why it's called the Maiden Stone. I don't know if it's true or not. I just like stories like that. You know, I do like this. I like this devil guy. He makes stories interesting. I just can't understand how he gets around so much. And it's mentioning the devil on that stone and Jesus at the same time. Anyway, that's Maiden Stone. Hope you enjoyed that one. Just time to tell you how we're getting on with the charity. I really thought people would have stopped donating. I'm so pleased you haven't. Thank you, guys. Niall, $35. Rob and Erica Wilson, $20. Anonymous, $100. Paul Lister, £10. Julie King, £10. And Chucky, it doesn't say how much. We've now raised £50,258. Buzzing. All the links in the description. Diggingthecourse.com. Click donate. Keep them coming in. Let's try and get it up to £60,000. So this is Easter Aquathoris stone circle. It's just another stone circle. I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens. It has to be said this is a pretty good one. It's about 4,000 to 5,000 years old, and that's all we can tell you because nobody knows anything about stone circles. They're rubbish. It's said to be one of the best preserved examples of a recumbent stone circle. This is your recumbent. Not sure what a recumbent is. They think it was to block an entrance to something. They think it aligns with the moon or something. Nobody knows. It's just you always get like a big stone. Looks really good. It's not always looked like this. Apparently in 1920 some reverend came and he wrote some notes about it in a book, saying it was just really overgrown with bushes, like overhead height. In bushes you could hardly see them. But it's being cleaned up now. One of my favourite pieces of gobbledygook about it, which I've read, is apparently it has acoustic properties, but nobody's ever said what them properties are. What's the point in saying it then? And the last thing I want to say, as I said, it's called Easter Aquathoris stone circle. Aquathoris means, it's a Scottish Gaelic word for field of prayer. There you go. That's all I've got to tell you about this stone circle. You know, it's pretty good for a stone circle. It's got all the stones there. They're all similar heights. Yeah, they did a good job, whoever built it, but come on. By the way, I got a text from my stepdad the other day. He only texts me once a year, and it always says exactly the same thing. I'd just got a new battery for my car. £100 it cost me. I'd broke down a couple of times and battery had gone flat, and I had to have jump leads from friends starting me off again. Anyway, I took it into the garage and they said it's performing at about 10% of what it should be performing. It's absolutely had it. You need a new one. So £100 later, I go home thinking, well, at least I won't break down again. Get a text from stepdad, you know, my yearly one, my annual one. Don't forget, Daniel, your MOT's due on your car at the end of this month. In other words, get your car into a garage, they check everything out and charge you a lot of money. So that will, you know, as if it was just rubbing it in, wasn't it? I wish it wouldn't text me, honestly. So that's it for today, people. Thank you for watching. More sightseeing for you, hope you don't mind. I'm just bored of I don't like detecting on beaches anymore, it's as simple as that. I will be doing more, but I failed that part of the task anyway. I'd rather spend my days doing something worthwhile than finding nothing on a beach. But I will do the odd one. It's about time I did one, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching on Digging the Coast 3, 6, 5.